All right, it's time for the end of the year content. After Thanksgiving, that's the sign for me. I put up Christmas decorations, I start end of the year content. I tried to avoid all the responsibilities that are preventing me from completely relaxing. But that also means when I'm filming this, there's a lot of yard work going on around me, and I apologize if any of that rumbling is distracting. I do try to fix as much of that as I can in post. So let us begin by reviewing what I did read for my list last year, and I'm happy to report that this is by far my best year. I have read or tried to read 8 of the 10 things. It has me so excited. Or was it 7? I don't know. A really high percentage. Normally I'm like at the 50% mark. This is astounding. So I had The Wolf. I read it. I liked it. Didn't love it. It was like a 3.5 to 4 star, and I don't know if I'll continue. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, that was cozy. And other times I'm like, I'm not sure if I care. But if you like alternative history, fantasy, it has 2 races, and there's war and politics, it's kind of like political fantasy light at times. Very Homeric, that's what I mean to say, like Homer type stories. Like, it felt like legends and legacies and politics, and it was cozy in a way, but I don't think cozy is the right word. But I felt nostalgic while consuming it. I also, unfortunately, tried and failed to continue with any Michael J. Sullivan work. I DNF'd Age of Myth 100 pages in. I just didn't have enough curiosity in the world, and I didn't care about the characters by that point. And it felt like it was following a lot of tropes and archetypes that are tried and true and great in the fantasy genre, but they're not my bread and butter, and they're not a big enough reason for me to stay. And also at the time, that read-along was doing like a book a month. And I just don't think I could have committed to that at that time. I was like, if we were doing a book a quarter, I probably would have kept going. So this isn't like a DNF forever. But between DNFing this and not continuing after Theft of Swords, I don't know where I really stand with Michael J. Sullivan. I also did read, though, and love Louise Erdrich. I read Love Medicine and The Roundhouse because of my buddy read with Mara. Was fantastic. And I did start my reread of Malazan, Gardens of the Moon, and Dead House Gates. I got live shows for those on the channel, and we have started our slow read of Memories of Ice. So in a couple months, we'll be chatting about that book. I'm pretty pumped about it. Another slight bummer is I read Elliot de Bodard. This one, I'm blanking on the name right now. It has to do with a mine ship and a scavenger in a marriage of convenience, space piracy. I think Elliot de Bodard's character work, especially the character interactions in her work, don't work for me. Like, things either escalate too quickly or they escalate off page, and I feel like I should be in the know. I should understand why we suddenly feel so strongly so quickly. If it's insta-love, it's insta-love. That's fine. But, I just don't even think I've been given, that cue that that's what's happening. But I did start reading the fantasy works of Lois McMaster Bujold with Curse of Chalion. And gosh, she's such a good author. She's such a queen. I love her so much. So excited to continue with Paladins of Souls and the Pendrick and Desdemona. So cool. Especially the next book, I think the main character is supposed to be Cordelia coded from Verkosigan. And I'm just I'm so excited. And then probably my biggest win is I put No Gods, No Monsters on my list last year because the last book came out this year, and it was fantastic. I read that I'm calling it a quartet. It's a trilogy plus a standalone book that's very integral to understanding some of the point of views in the third book. I have a Should You Read. I have an author interview. It resurrected my author interview series because I was so excited. So excited. So No Gods, No Monsters. It is incredibly Angela coded, but I do think if you like to be invested and immersed in other characters and in larger than life supernatural scenarios, you gotta give it a go. So fun. So now let's talk about the 3 things I didn't get to. One I'm not mad about because I forgot I had a different reread planned. I had 2 rereads planned that I wasn't planning. One was His Dark Materials, and the other was The Unbroken for the Magic of the Lost series. So Nine Fox Gambit didn't happen. And although it might happen next year, I'm not putting it on the list. I must simply mood read whatever I want to reread, and I will reread something. I don't know what, but it's going to be a mood read. We're not putting it on a list. It'll happen if it happens. Because that's how my rereadings have been going the last few years, and I should just lean into that. I will say this next one, I think I get half credit, because I did not read The Trader of Baru Cormorant. I think that's how you say it. But I did read a standalone, well, it's a standalone, but it feels like the first in a series, Exordia, by the same author. Both of those, I would like to know if there's another work coming out anytime soon, but I would still like to get to this series, especially because recently in my interview with C.L. Clarke, they mentioned this series being a favorite and also kind of like permission to do what she does in The Unbroken and everything. And so I'm just like, that makes me very intrigued. The other one that I rewatched my video, and no, Angela, you did not read this, was The Sorcerer of the Wild Deeps. It is a novella. It's simply the start of a duology, and yet I have not read it. I think part of it is like I need to figure out how to force it into my reading because it doesn't naturally fall into my habits because I get it from Hoopla and not from Libby, and it's a novella series, so you don't get the physical books as easily. And, you know, it's just this year's been a weird reading year. Like, not a bad one, but it's definitely not felt like normal or easy. So, yeah, I'm not mad, but it's definitely on the list for next year as well. And so now we're going to get into the rest of my list, which is going to be a little more sci-fi heavy. I've been wanting to read more sci-fi series, and so I think 5 of these might be sci-fi series. And then I have actually 6 of them. It's very sci-fi heavy. I don't know, I'm in a sci-fi mood. It's why I put together 2025 sci-fi releases, because I realized I don't really have a sense of what's been coming out. And part of that's marketing. We're not really marketing sci-fi books like we are other books. But part of that is also I need to be curious and putting things on my radar so that I'll put in hold to the library or buy them at the store, etc. So let's start with These Burning Stars, the first book in the Kingdom trilogy, which was completed this year. So many people love this trilogy. So many people tell me I need to read it. And so I shall. I will give it a try and hope I really like it. We also have the Empire Without End series, the first book being The Stars Undying by Emery Robin, which is kind of a Cleopatra retelling and space story. I've read the first few chapters. I desperately want to keep reading it. I do not have time. I don't know where to find the time to read this book. So I'm putting it on the list for next year. This is a fantasy series, so we have, I think it's the Ravens trilogy, but the first book's The Phoenix King. This series is on this list primarily because I have read the first book when it was indie pubbed, and I liked it. And the audiobook for the trad pub has my favorite audiobook narrators ever. So I want to read that, and the sequel just came out, and I'm just excited. I just hope I really like it. We'll see. All right, so this one is... I don't know if I should have high hopes for this, but I'm putting Ancillary Justice on this TBR. If you've been here for a while, you'll probably be like, but Angela, you've read this. You've read this because it was on a TBR video like this. And you didn't like it that much. You gave it 3 stars. And you would be right on all accounts. But I really loved Translation State, and I really liked one of her short stories or novelettes or something. And so I really feel like maybe I just need to give this another chance. Maybe I read it wrong. Maybe that could happen. And bare minimum, I want to read this one and then at least try the sequel, because I do hear that the sequels have a slightly different tone. But I want to get my grounding with the world building again and just see if it was my mood or not. So this one, I don't know if I feel good about it, but I'm putting it on the list. And then there is another trilogy that just ended that I've seen the covers around, but I've never read them. And now I'm just like, well, I might as well just try it. And that is The Last Watch by J.S. Dews. I don't know how to say her last name. I don't know anything about this. I've seen these covers. I would like to give it a go. And so I've put it on the list. I'm also putting in a placeholder card here, just like I did with Louise Erdrich, for Ursula K. Le Guin. Probably one of my biggest blanks in reading. I have read The Left Hand of Darkness, which I liked. Didn't love. Ryan likes it more than me. I think if I had to put a placeholder here, I would want to read The Dispossessed or something like that. I don't know if The Dispossessed is in her big sci-fi series that you can kind of read in any order because they're kind of just cultural studies sort of thing. But I would like to read an Ursula K. Le Guin sci-fi specifically. And then on my TBR, I have A Stranger in Alondria, I think that's the name, by Samantha Sematar, as I think her full name. I have both books in the series. I bought them because I really liked the novella she wrote. So I should read these. Like, I should do that because I bought them when I was in Toronto. And then here is another ambitious one because it's I feel like it's time. I have read the First Law trilogy twice. I read the First Law trilogy in 2014. Okay? And then I read it again in 2020. Like, I have been reading Joe Abercrombie before I knew there was BookTube, and I do think before it was cool to do so on BookTube, okay? And I never understand the hype. And people love the Age of Madness trilogy. People love the standalones. I do think the Age of Madness trilogy is the favorite. And so my goal here, having read and really liked The Devils, is to start one or the other of these. Should I try Best Served Cold for a fourth time? I don't know. I might give it another shot. And if it's not going well, pivot to Age of Madness and give that a go. But I do think it's time that I try out some of the Joe Abercrombie that I haven't read before. So yeah, that's this list. That's the ambitions. There might be other series that I get to. That always happens. I never stick to just this list. And these are just series I want to start. This doesn't even touch all the series that I'm still in the middle of. But I like having aspirations. I like having goals. What are series that you're hoping to start this coming year? And what is some end of the year content you're excited for? I'm excited to put it together. It's just so fun wrapping everything up. And so, yeah, and it's also just a good distraction from the work that I probably should be doing. If you just want to leave me an emoji to let me know you're here, I'll leave a sci-fi emoji. Because next year, I say this every year, but it's going to be the year of sci-fi. I mean, it's always the year of sci-fi for me. But truly, I'm stacking the deck. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.